Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for being with us these days. So the key question is membership through MAP for Ukraine. Is it a realistic scenario or an elusive aspiration for Ukrainians? Of course, you know that Russia enjoyed this war in Ukraine to prevent Ukraine from joining NATO. So the membership, if the majority of Ukrainians will vote for NATO, will it take 10 years, 20 years, or never?
It is not possible to give an exact timetable. What I can say is that NATO allies agreed already in 2008 at the NATO Bucharest summit, and I was there as Norwegian Prime Minister at that time, that Ukraine will become a member of NATO. But now the focus has to be on reforms, how to strengthen your defense and security institutions, how to modernize your governance, and also to fight corruption. And by doing that, you are improving the lives for ordinary citizens of Ukraine today, and you're also moving towards a NATO membership. Then no one can tell exactly when that will happen, but when we look at other countries, first of all, we see that NATO's door remains open. Montenegro joined just 2 years ago. North Macedonia will join in a couple of or a few months, and we have seen before, for instance, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, after the end of the Cold War, that countries like Poland or the Baltic countries, no one dreamt about them as NATO members. Now they're all full members of the alliance. So we support your efforts. We help you with implementing reforms. The focus should be on reforms, on modernizing society, and by that you also move closer to NATO membership.
Does the concept, no military aid, no lethal weapon for Ukraine, remain valid in the alliance, as well as so-called Austrian concept, neutral Ukraine as a buffer zone between Russia and the EU?
Well, NATO allies provide a lot of political support to Ukraine, the territorial integrity, the sovereignty of Ukraine, but we also provide practical support to Ukraine. Yesterday I visited the Naval Academy in Odessa. I saw how NATO efforts help to improve the quality and of the training of cadets in Odessa, with new equipment, with new instructors, also to help to improve English skills, and also, for instance, the fact that Ukrainian cadets now can train, have internships at NATO ships. And we had 4 NATO ships in Odessa yesterday, demonstrating the commitment of NATO to Ukraine. And NATO allies, individual NATO allies, like the United States, Canada, UK and others, they provide training of Ukrainian forces. Lithuania also do that, and many other allies provide different kinds of training and help. It's not for NATO to sell military equipment, but different NATO allies provide military equipment, and we also, for instance, know that the United States have decided to provide the javelins. NATO allies, individual NATO allies, and Ukraine provide, and NATO provides significant support to Ukraine, and we decided in April to step up our efforts in Black Sea, and that's exactly what we are doing.
Let me put it the other way around. Won't you in NATO leave us Ukrainians in the gray zone between Russia and Europe?
Ukraine is a partner, and NATO has 40 partner countries around the world. For some nations, the partnership is the first step towards membership. For other nations, partnership is a more permanent relationship with NATO. We have, for instance, excellent, a very strong and close partnership with countries like Sweden, Finland, Switzerland, Austria, and especially Sweden and Finland. They're really close partners. We exercise for them, we work with them, they participate in NATO missions and operations. So I think we have to understand that there is a lot between nothing and full membership. So while we are working for full membership of Ukraine, I think we should just look into what more can we do together This will be good for Ukraine, it will be good for NATO, and to modernize the Ukrainian defense and security institutions, to help you with training, to help you with building capacity, command and control, helping you with your cyber defenses. All of this we do. It's important. It makes Ukraine a better country, also when you are, or even as you are not being a full member of NATO. So it matters what we do, also when you are not member of NATO, and I commend Ukraine for your strong commitment, and I welcome the strong partnership between Ukraine and NATO.
Okay, I heard you announced significant support, especially for Ukrainian Navy. Would you specify which kind of support? And let me ask you, do you consider it real if we join NATO standing maritime groups in the Black Sea?
So first of all, I think that what we see is that NATO as an alliance, we have different trust funds, we have different programs where we have stepped up our support. But on top of that, of course, I encourage also NATO allies on individual basis, bilateral basis, to provide support. When it comes to our presence in the Black Sea, what we have done is that we are stepping up our cooperation with the Ukrainian Navy when it comes to sharing of information, when it comes to exercises, we are exercising together, and also when it comes to helping build capacity, training your naval forces. And one important step is that naval cadets in Ukraine can now train on NATO ships, and thereby learning NATO procedures, NATO standards, and also increasing interoperability of Ukrainian forces with NATO forces. So we have an open mind. We are always looking into what more we can do, it was great to be in Odessa and actually see the NATO ships there, but also the Naval Academy, which is working more and more closely together with NATO.
Okay, the Russia's hybrid war methods are still in use against NATO, and we Ukrainians know too well how it works. And what does the alliance do to prevent itself in regards of Russia's growing influence in the world?
First of all, we have to increase awareness because we have seen Russian attempts to interfere in our democratic processes, cyber attacks, disinformation campaign. And just to increase awareness and also expose some of these attempts helps to prevent them. So for instance, when Russian intelligence officers try to hack and go into the organization for prohibition of chemical weapons, the OPCW in Hague, NATO, intelligence service in NATO allied countries exposed that, and I think that has been important. So awareness is important. The other thing we do is to improve our cyber defenses, and we have done a lot to improve the defense of NATO networks, but also to provide support and help to NATO allies that may come under attack, and NATO partners. So one of the areas where we work together with Ukraine is how can we help you improve your cyber defenses, participate in exercises, share best practices, work with you. So NATO advisors are in Kiev, in Ukraine, to help you improve your cyber defenses, to resist hybrid attacks, cyber attacks. Disinformation campaigns, well, the best answer to disinformation campaigns is the facts, is the truth. We don't believe that the best answer to propaganda is more propaganda or counter-propaganda. We believe that the best answer to propaganda, to disinformation campaign, is the truth, because the truth will prevail. And therefore we also strongly support a strong, independent press that asks the difficult questions, that check their sources. That's the best way also to counter any attempt to meddle in our democratic processes or conduct disinformation campaigns.
Thank you for an interview. And to sum it up, just in 2 words, are you waiting for Ukraine in NATO?
Ukraine will be a member of NATO. That has been stated by NATO allies several times, but the focus now is on reform. That's good for Ukraine regardless of when you become a member of NATO, and it moves you closer to membership.
Thank you for the interview and for your support. Thank you
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All the best.
All the best to you.